Raymond Nichols. And if you're not familiar with Dr. Nichols and his work, he's doing really good stuff about self-empowerment, mindset, health, responsibility for your health. He is a chiropractor that's actually just down the road from me. He lives and practices in Greenville, South Carolina. I live in Spartanburg, South Carolina. And so when I found out somebody local was really doing great work on in the realm of health, I'm like, I have to get him on. So hello, everyone. Dr. Nichols just got here. So go ahead and raise your hand. Get into the interview. We'll have you up here in a minute, Raymond. But thanks for joining today. We will pull him in here. All right, Dr. Nichols. And there we go. So he should be imminently coming on, you guys. This is going to be a fun interview. I love the work that Dr. Raymond Nichols is doing. If you've never heard of him before, what's up, man?
Hey, what's going on, brother? How we doing?
Man, I have loved following you. You are one of the bright lights in the world. I hope you realize that. I hope you know what an impact you're having. I know some days you get discouraged because you talk some things that people don't like, and it's all good. I'm used to that, by the way. But, dude, I think what you're doing is world-changing. So I just wanted to start the interview that way, that I feel like we need more Raymond Nichols in the world. Because I think you spread light and love in ways that I haven't seen other people do.
Okay. Well, I received that. I definitely received that. So thank you. I really appreciate it. Just trying to be a difference. Just trying to be a difference in the world while I'm here until I expire, whenever that may be.
And see, you're still young enough. How old are you?
I'm 30.
So he's 30 years old, you guys. He's got at least 70 more years on this world of facts there in Greenville, South Carolina. Like, you're not going anywhere for a while. And again, that's impressive, 30 years old, and you've got this wisdom of a 90-year-old. It's just amazing. I'm about to turn 50 later this year. And I've only just feel like I'm getting to that point where I'm sort of kind of getting almost wise. But you're already there at 30 years old. That's so cool, man.
I'm about to put my headphones in so I can make sure you're getting echoes.
Can you hear me now?
All right. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, the sound was pretty good, but this will work. We got you, man. We got you.
Perfect.
I like the green background. Is that a green screen background? What is that?
No, it's actually not. So I'm in my adjusting room, and we have so we just have like this like a grass wall.
Yes.
And yeah, so it just adds to the just the aura of the room. Just the healing experience. Yeah.
I definitely need to come see you for an adjustment at some point. So that'll be fun. Because I lost my chiropractor locally here in Spartanburg, and so I've been looking for one. I'll drive to Greenville to see you.
Yeah, come see me.
Yeah, man. So let's get into why you got into health, because a lot of times the chiropractic industry gets a lot of hate. I think it's stupid. I've loved chiropractors. I got in a car accident in my 20s and helped me immensely, and that's where I got introduced to chiropractic for the first time. But like, I think chiropractors are devalued unnecessarily, because you guys look at things, unlike the medical profession, from more of a holistic kind of standpoint. And you're not just back crackers. You're really not doing that. I know that's kind of the, oh, you cracked my back. No, you're not actually doing that. So tell us a little more about what got you interested in health, and then why specifically chiropractic.
Yeah, so that's an easy one. So I grew up in Mississippi, so Laura, Mississippi. And so if you're familiar with Mississippi, then look at the obesity rates in America, we're going to be at the very top at number 1 or typically number 2. Yeah. So I grew up in that household of my family have diabetes, have high blood pressure, obesity, cancer, like all these metabolic diseases that we see, right? That we see the numbers are skyrocketed, especially in our country over here. And so that's what kind of got me on the journey, because what happened was I saw these things in my family, and I was like, man, like, what's going on? And I asked my family members about it, and they was like, oh, my such and such, my mom had it, my dad had it, your great great grandfather had this. And so more so is like, it's just getting passed down as like this genetic thing that we can't do anything about.
Right.
Right. And so coming from like as a child and hearing that, now I'm like, I feel hopeless, right? I feel disempowered because it's like, so you're telling me when I become an adult like you, I'm going to have these same things. I'm going to have to deal with these same things. I'm going to have to suffer just like you. And that's very, very disempowering. And, and what, and pretty much what, like, let's kind of fast forward, kind of what I got into was that I knew that the body heals itself, right? The body heals itself. Like that's a fact, right? This is what it does. And so with that being said, I knew that I had to do something different. But the thing was for me was that since I was born in this allopathic mindset, talking about like healing curves from outside in, take this medication for this, take this for this, take this for this, rub this on this. Since I was born in that, I'm like, there has to be a different way. There has to be a different way. And so with me and all my life is that I haven't been afraid to open the unknown, like open that door and like see what's behind it. Because
Yes.
I'm very curious.
Yeah. You know how odd that is, though, today, Raymond, that people are curious about any part of life. Like, think about the totality of life. People are just going, okay, where do I go now? Oh, okay, I'm coming over here. Oh, I'm supposed to do this. And they're not thinking for themselves. So kudos to you at an early age figuring that part out.
Yeah. I'm blessed. I'm happy that I was able to really just embrace the unknown because I feel like within the unknown is obviously we're able to just learn so much within the unknown. And so me being open to that was like, okay, I don't know what this other side of health looks like, but I know what this health looks like. And it's not
Yeah.
something that I want to participate in or be a part of. And so
Yeah.
I'm like, all right, I'm going to disrupt this cycle, this generational cycle that has been happening in my family for years and years and years. And like, I'm the disruptor of my generational dysfunctional cycle, right? So I'm disrupting it.
Isn't it funny how we like to put so much focus on genetic predispositions at the expense of epigenetic expression, like teaching people the yang to the yin of that process. Like your genes kind of load the gun, but like it's not going to automatically shoot.
Yeah.
You have the predisposition, but it doesn't mean you're going to shoot. Epigenetics can kind of counter that if you start eating better and doing lifestyle changes and stress management and all the things that you and I both talk about in our work.
Yeah.
It just, to me, that inevitability of, well, Aunt Susie had diabetes and Uncle Tom had diabetes, you're going to have it someday. And I hate that because when people think something is an inevitability, what does it do? It leads to inaction.
But that's the thing. Like, I'm glad you said it because I feel like for me, I think people use this genetic thing as, okay, since my mom had it, my grandmother had it, then I'm just going to continue this essentially this like perpetuate this thing, this like, I mean, I feel like it's an excuse. It's a cop out because if I can separate myself from this, like I don't have any ownership in this. This is just something that just is.
Yeah.
Then I don't have to own it. I don't have to take responsibility for it. I'm
Yeah.
gonna just let this thing happen, right? So I think the other piece of this is the on taking the ownership and like really taking the responsibility for like, okay, I have responsibility for my health, right? And I control my destiny, right? And so, and I think that's another piece of it.
Yeah, and I feel like there's so many people who have abdicated their own responsibility and their own health. People all the time say, well, my doctor said to blah, blah, blah. I'm like, you do realize that doctor is not God. Merely a consultant in your health and business. And a consultant in your business, would they run your business? Hell no. Do is give their input based on professional experience and education and all the things. Who's the final arbiter? The one who owns the business. Well, guess what? Your body is the business in this analogy, and you're the CEO, you're the boss, you're the everything, and that consultant, that doctor, is merely giving you input, including Dr. Nichols, you guys. If you go see
Yes.
a chiropractor and he shares information with you about how you can be healthier, you can go, that's interesting. I'll take it under advisement. They can take it or leave it. And that's the beauty about this process. Stop abdicating your role as the CEO of your business, your body.
Hmm.
Take it back.
I absolutely love that. That's amazing because I always tell my patients, it's like, I'm here to be the facilitator, to be the guide. Like that's simply it. Like you're the hero. This is your journey. Like if you are interested in taking this journey, I will walk with you. I'm not going to pull you. I'll walk with you though. Right. So I'm not going to force you to do anything that you don't want to do. But I have some knowledge. I've studied things. And like, I want to help you reach your goals. And this is how we're going to do it, by doing this and this. And again, it's up to you. You can take it or you can leave it, but the patients have to do their part, right? It's not Dr. Ray. Like I wish I could do the work for them, but I know I can't. So I'm like, you have to do your own work, right? This is your health. This is your spine. I'm just here to be the facilitator in that.
I love what Ginger put. Hashtag you heal you.
Yep.
Love that.
Yeah, you heal you. Yeah. Because
Yeah.
and like, because doctor only means to teach, right? It means to educate. That's all doctor means. It just means to educate. It means to teach. And if you look up what educate means, it actually means to draw out and doesn't mean to pour in. So when you draw out, so it means that we have all the intelligence, we have all the knowledge inside of us already. We just need to be reminded of it. And when I say be reminded of it, when we hear truth, we're like, oh, you feel it. It hits different. And you're like, man, but it's been there all along. You just heard it and it just hit like, oh, wow. But it's not something new. Like it's all this knowledge, all this wisdom is inside of us. We're born with it.
Yeah, it's beautiful. By the way, one of my really good friends in the keto space, I'm a keto author and podcaster and everything.
Gotcha.
Lindy, she's keto teacher mom, and she loves you, dude. So love, just wrote about this conversation.
Gotcha. Cool.
Yeah, death man. You've got some good fans in our community because you talk about not just health stuff, but kind of around the pandemic and some of the
Yeah.
not happening with that. And so you've got some fans in my community. That's why I wanted you.
Gotcha. Okay. That's cool, man. But then, I mean, that's pretty much kind of what led me down to the healthcare realm. And like, okay, like facilitating that and helping people be healthy and live healthier lives. But then what got me down to the chiropractic realm was, again, early age. I just recognized that the body heals itself from inside out and not outside in, right? And so so inside out healing, it makes sense. So literally everything happens from inside out. Like if we want to change ourselves, we have to dive in. We have to really dive into that and be like, okay, I need to change this. So I need to come from the inside. And then because we know what's going to happen is what we're going to project, then the external is going to be the change that other people see and what we see.
Hey guys, you know I'm all about healthy nutrition, and I have a brand new product I want to tell you about called Athletic Greens. This is not just a multivitamin. It has 75 essential elements that you want to have in your diet, from probiotics to greens to digestive enzymes to prebiotics. There's so many things that they pack into the Athletic Greens. The main reason why I love them is it puts it all in one place. Like literally you'd have to a la carte buy all of these different supplements, and they do it all in one package. So if you go to athleticgreens.com/Jimmy, and you can get a special discount if you go there, and the discount is you get a free 1-year supply of their vitamin D as well as some of their travel packs. Go check it out, you guys. athleticgreens.com/Jimmy. So I'm curious, in your practice, and I know there's a lot of new modalities that have come into the realm of chiropractic and alternative health in general. Have you done any cupping therapy as well? Are you familiar with that?
So I am familiar with it, and we do it. It's not like a thing we do with every patient. Maybe when someone comes in really flared up, we may do it. But in our office, honestly, we're pretty hands-on. It's like pretty straightforward chiropractic care of removing the misalignments in the spine and allowing the body to communicate better with the brain communicate better with the body. Because I know when that's happening, that communication is happening, the
Yeah.
body is going to heal like it should, it's going to function like it should, and it's going to adapt like it should.
Yeah. Desiree wanted to know where you are. Greenville, South Carolina. He's just down the road from me.
Yep.
We're South Kakalakians here. So asked about the cupping thing was I did a session of cupping, and I've done chiropractic many times as well.
Yeah.
I really remember it happening with chiropractic, but I want to know your feedback. Do you ever do an adjustment on someone and it creates this emotional response? It's like you release this emotional energy from within people, from traumas in their past, from other things. You're smiling, so I know yes is the answer. And it just seems like it's almost a physical thing that releases emotional tension that needs to be erased, and then the thoughts flood their mind. Like, do you almost feel like you're a therapist at that point talking?
Yes, I'm glad you brought that up because most people wouldn't even view chiropractic as that like of something like that even happening. So let's take the example of, let's say we have a deer that's grazing in the wild, right? And this deer hears a hunter or some type of a prey or whatever. The deer is grazing, and then the deer will get into its fight or flight state and is going to run away, right? Get to a safe place, and then the deer is going to go back to grazing. It's not thinking about what just happened, right? It's literally not like, it's not like, oh man, I can't believe they try to take me out, or I can't, like, they're gonna go back to doing what they're doing. Like, it's just, they're a part of nature, right? And so with that being said, is that with humans, if we come into a stressful state, whether it's emotional, whether it's a physical state, but we come in this stressful state, we have the ability to continue perpetuating the same thing that has happened to us. And like literally we perpetuate it in our mind because the mind doesn't know the difference between reality and what we imagine. It's going to respond the exact same way. That's the beauty of it.
Yes.
Yeah. That's the beauty.
That sympathetic nervous system can kick in at
Mm-hmm.
any given point, and all you got to do is think of it. You don't even have to be experiencing it. And it's even like very ancestral if you stop and think about it. It's primal, deep within our minds of back in hunter-gatherer days. If they had to run away from a saber-toothed tiger, they had to go, and they had to fly. And so what are we doing in modern society? We're constantly having saber-toothed tiger thoughts all the time based on all the stresses in our life, the boss yelling at us at work, kids acting ornery. And I know you've got some beautiful kids. I love
Thank you.
your interaction with your kids is one of the best on the Instagram page. So yeah, it just all of these things that keep us in that worked up thing, which makes it harder for you when you try to give an adjustment. If you got tight muscles around that spinal cord, it's hard for you to do your job.
Yeah. And so obviously how we're able to keep and perpetuating this thing is, so in life, like we're supposed to, I think we're here to learn, to grow and evolve. And we're supposed to, when we come in contact with any experience, we're supposed to integrate this and like process this experience into us and who we are, so we can continue to grow, learn and evolve. Okay. So what happens is when we have a traumatic experience, it can be too traumatic where the point that we don't fully integrate that experience, and it can get locked in our system and get locked in the nervous system, right?
Yes.
And so when you say, if I have I adjusted someone and they literally just bawled out crying, like it wasn't that it hurt or anything like that. It was like they had this big emotional release that happened because they didn't fully integrate their experience that happened 10, 20 years ago. And when they got adjusted, that was the integration. That was the piece that they needed to fully like integrate that. And I was like let it out. Like this is what you need in this very moment. Like, and it has happened a few times. And I'm like, this is completely normal, because there are people like, I'm sorry, I don't know what's going on. I'm like, it's completely normal.
Let the tears flow. Yeah. Scooter mentioned massage and acupuncture have done the same kind of release in people. And I remember The chiropractors I've been to, and I'm sure you have this on your walls as well, but you see the spinal system, and there's little lines that say, okay, this is the part of the body that's like for the kidneys function, and I'm sure there's parts of the spine that if you adjusted a certain part, it would be part of that release, or maybe just this general chiropractic in general. I don't know if there's a specific area of the spine that would be connected to that. Maybe it's based on what trauma you had as well. Like where trauma took place. Was it physical trauma? Was it emotional trauma, sexual trauma, whatever? I'm assuming that matters too.
Yeah, it depends on where we're adjusting. And yeah, it's just a beautiful thing to be able to help people facilitate these experiences that they probably would have never fully integrated and processed. I've had patients come in where they've had issues, physical pains like chest pain, and they've gotten all the tests, they've done all the labs, and no one can find anything. But they're experiencing this thing, and people think they're going crazy because no one can find anything, but they're not looking in the right place. And so all I do is ask a question like, hey, when did this start happening? 20 years ago. What happened 20 years ago? Did you have a type of car accident? Did someone pass away? Oh, my grandmother passed away. That's when it started happening. Okay, now we're on to something. And I get them thinking, and then we get them adjusted, and we get them adjusting the rhythm, and then eventually they're like, I don't have the chest pain anymore. Yeah, you don't. So we're able to fully integrate the experience that you had 20 years ago that you didn't integrate because it was just too much for your system. Yeah.
Right. And think about it. Like, I don't think we give enough credence, and I'm glad you're talking about this here today. I'm enjoying the conversation, by the way.
Yeah, and I love it.
I don't think we give enough credence to the impact of unresolved emotional pain on physical body. I know there's studies out there. There was one big study that actually tied childhood trauma and traumatic experiences, even just from an emotional standpoint, with physical things later in life, like heart disease, diabetes, obesity, all the things that are chronic diseases.
Gotcha.
Go see your doctor about it. And the doctor's like, eat a low-fat diet, eat less calories, move more. Here, take this pill to appetite suppress yourself. And then you keep getting worse and worse and worse. The trauma still hasn't resolved. You're still getting worse. It's this inevitability of kind of the mainstream medicine that just frustrates me. I've been at this 17 years trying to preach the gospel. It's so frustrating that we're still stuck in that. It's good that we have bright lights like yourself out there showing a different way, but I feel like most people, they stay stuck in their malaise because they don't know there's another way.
Yeah, that's very true. And that's very unfortunate too. That some people will stay stuck in it. Yeah, and that's the reality of it. And there is someone out there to be able to hopefully help shed light. Because I've seen that when people walk in the door, most of the time, if they don't have this mindset, right? Most time they have a mindset of, I'm coming in, I have pain, like I need help with this pain.
Yes.
Right? And they help with this thing. And when they come in, obviously talking to them, getting to see like, okay, what's going on, see what their goals are. And then we just dive deeper into it. And like, this is a bigger problem than what they thought, right? It didn't just happen overnight. It happened 10 years ago, 15 years ago, but they thought it just showed up, but it's been happening essentially. And so I just got to make sure I just dive deeper and deeper into that and know like, hey, this is impacting your life, right? And like, do you want to correct this or do you want to just suppress the symptom? Like, there's enough people that are suppressing the symptoms, right? If you want to correct this, again, we can go on this journey and we can actually get this corrected. And so they're able to just be curious enough and just go down this journey. And so those people they won't be stuck in that pattern essentially. Because I tell my patients all the time, I say like, we're big on education in our office because I feel that educated people make educated decisions most of the time.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like in my industry, the similar thing to people coming in to see you for pain, in my industry, they want to lose weight. And what they find, they come in to lose weight, but then they realize they're actually coming in to get healthy, which has a nice little side effect called weight loss. And a
Boom.
lot for pain relief, that has a nice little side effect of pain relief. Like they come in for one reason, I guess if that's the draw that brings them in, so be it.
Yeah. So be it. Yeah.
But the buy-in factor is based on one precipice, but then you get the real solution once you're there. And I love that you're doing that, by the way.
Yeah. No, that's huge. I absolutely love that. It's a great analogy. And that's exactly what happens in the office here. Yeah.
Let's talk about mindset, because I know a lot of your posts on Instagram, and guys, again, look him up over on Instagram, Dr. Raymond Nichols. And yeah, you're all the time posting mindset types. So you post a lot of things, but the mindset one, just kind of getting people to reframe things. I feel like a lot of what people think they know is just because it's what they've always known. They've never looked outside the box. I've always been how far outside the box can I think?
That's me.
That I like to push the boundaries of what the box says I'm supposed to do and be and all the things. What do you think holds people back? Is it just familiarity and comfortability with what they know, or is it something deeper than that?
I'm going to say, let's go back to the just that ancestral brain, right? Because I think what we have lost is that I feel like since like technology is just out this world, right? Like it's just so advanced, I feel that we think since we're so advanced in the technological world, we think that the human being is also advanced to that point too. And I'm going to say we're not. I'm going to say because this process of evolution takes a long time to happen. And I'm going to say that we're not as advanced as we think we are. And the reason why I say is because we have this ancestral brain that, again, if someone comes in here and want to rob the place or whatever, like I'm going to go in my fight or flight. I'm going to go to the ancestral brain. Like that's the first thing I'm going to do because I want to either fight or I want to get away. Right. And so with that being said, since we have this ancestral brain, so anything outside of our norm or familiarity, it's a threat to our, like, it's literally like it's like this is a life or death thing. Like that's what the brain is telling us, right? Any type of change that we try to make, anything that we try to do that's outside of the norm, and that's going to cause resistance and pain, like the brain doesn't want to do that. Like that. So I think it's more so of having the knowledge that, yes, I know my brain doesn't want to do this because of this, but most people don't know the why behind it. You know what I mean? Like I think it's all mindset, and they don't know how the brain works.
They don't want to know the why behind it. And that's the thing. I think there's so many people very comfortable and Ornell, good comments. I think people are afraid to be ridiculed for their beliefs or questions. That's true. And you always hear about that outsider in the family, and that's usually the one that thinks outside the box. That's true. Like you don't want to be pegged, but I don't mind being pegged. Like I'm comfortable in what I know and what I believe, and I'm not afraid to share it. And I think the fear is a big part, especially with what's been happening in our world this past year and a half. Fear, again, paralyzes people, and they'd rather conform to the fear everyone else is feeling. I'm like, screw that. I don't want to feel anybody else's fear. If I have fear, then it's something I physically feel and have hopelessness about, which is not many things. Most things, at the end of the day, the good Lord's going to take care of me, and I'm going to trust things. So I don't live my life in fear.
Gotcha. Yeah, no, I love that, and I think you're spot on with that. People not being, I guess, like in that realm of wanting to know, because I imagine that if I give you just a new idea or just a new concept now, I imagine that you're not going to quickly just like, oh, let me go into my belief system and see if I believe that, right? I would say that you would be like, okay, bring it on. Let me see how this integrates to what I currently know, because what we know is that we want to learn, grow, and evolve. we have to be able to share some things that no longer serve us for us
Yeah.
to continue to go on, right? Because a lot of times I like to say that in the moment, this is what I believe, this is where I am. But ask me 5 years from now,
Yeah.
it could be different. And I'm completely okay with that because I'm not attached to it.
It should be different. Like lost sight in all the conversation about the science. There is no such thing as the science. The
Yeah.
science constantly changing, evolving when new evidence presents itself. And it's kind of ludicrous that we're supposed to be making decisions on the science when the science has changed even in the past year and a half when it was first being touted. Now the science shows us so many more things that we're still stuck on the science of a year and a half ago.
Keto Chow is a customizable shake mix that is also perfect for cooking and baking, giving you simple, nutritionally perfect meal options. Keto Chow. Make keto easy. Discover your favorite flavor at jimmylovesketochow.com.
We are. You're right.
Going in hard, brother. Going in hard.
No, I mean, yeah, because I like to look at this thing as like a river versus a swamp, right? Like one's stagnant, it's no movement, and with a river, it's never the same river. Like if you step in the river more than once, like it's never the same river that you're stepping into because it's always changing. There's always change, always, and it's always moving. And I think of us as a human being as a moving river that's always changing. At least we should be.
We should be. Unfortunately, we become more like lemmings than people that are pushing back. And I'm anti-lemming, by the way, you guys, and I know Dr. Nichols is as well. Anti-lemming. Do not conform to things that don't sit right. And it's okay to disagree. I just wrote a post about this today of, look, just because we disagree, we don't agree on all the same things, does not make you my enemy. It just means
I know.
Of opinion. And this is where back in my younger days we'd have a conversation. Okay, Raymond, tell me why you believe. Oh, okay, that's interesting. Wow. Well, here's what I believe. And you go, oh, that's interesting. Wow. And you come together kind of with a consensus of, hey, I understand you. I don't agree with everything, but I understand, and vice versa. And you leave buddies. Now it's like, you're my mortal enemy. Die.
Yeah, that's where we're at. It's crazy because I look at it again like we're supposed to be these rivers, and for whatever reason we want to be in this swamp. It's like, okay, I'm gonna put myself in this camp. I'm gonna put myself in this camp. I believe what they believe, right? And we start to put ourselves in these different camps of belief systems. What happens is we talk about mind body sovereignty. If we put ourselves in a different camp, we have just these beliefs, and anything outside of that is just we're not even entertaining it, right? We're not even considering it, right? And so now, essentially, we lose our mind sovereignty because we are so attached to whatever you attach yourself to, whatever that camp may be, right? And so it's like we can't attach ourselves to that because when we do, we lose the mind sovereignty. When we lose the mind sovereignty, the body's going to follow right after. So mind, body, and sovereignty is gone. We're no longer thinking for ourselves. This other group, this other thing, this other person is thinking for me. So I'm no longer in control of my thoughts or my body.
Yeah, and I hate these boxes we put people in. Well, if you have this one little thought and comment, you're this. And I'm going, you can't have this little thought and comment in the box. And a lot of people politically, when it comes to religion, they have different beliefs that are just little pieces and slivers of different boxes. That doesn't mean that they're in the collective box, but what we've done in society these days is if you have a sliver, you're the whole damn thing, and we're just going to identify you and peg you as whatever that is.
Pretty much.
It's sad, and I think it creates where no division exists. Like you and I live in South Carolina. There ain't no racial division in our state. I go out, black people open doors for me, I open doors for them. Like we're so kind to each other. Hey, how you doing? Like it's so funny, all of the things that are supposed to be truisms based on what we hear out there, They're not true in the real world.
Yeah, media can definitely hype up any story, whatever it is, and really hype it up and give you what you need to respond in a certain way or to
And
react in a certain way.
because I think there's something deeper there happening that is not pro people.
Mm.
And I think it's going to cause more harm than good. By the way, this pandemic has not been great on people's having subluxations and other kind of things needing adjustment. Number one, they couldn't see you for a while, probably, or if they did, they had to wear a mask and all the things. But did you see an increase in people having spinal issues because of the stress of the past year?
Yes, and so with our office, when everything did happen, we made a few changes, but again, like we're big on education, so majority of our patients they still came in for their weekly adjustments, sometimes 2 times a week, 3 times a week, whatever their recommendation was. They still came in because what they knew is that the body heals from the inside out, and we need to make sure the body has what it needs in order for it to perform the way that we want it to perform against anything out there, right? Because the body is meant to adapt, and so we need to make sure that we're getting adjusted, we're sleeping, we're getting movement, we're decreasing the stress, like the nutrition, like all these different things that's just essential for the body to perform at an optimal level. They understood that just because we've always, like from day one, we put in education, like where I'm here to empower people, empower my patients, because they have the power within them, even if they don't know it. I know they have it within them. Eventually they start to see it, and then they start to really take ownership of that. And that's a beautiful place to be in when you start to take ownership of that.
Where do you think we get it most wrong in our health? Is it diet? Is it lack of exercise? Is it lack of stress management? Is it unresolved trauma? I know your answer is probably going to be yes to all that, Jimmy. It seems to me there has to be some smoking gun that like instigates a lot of it. Any thoughts?
I'm gonna definitely say yes to all of those.
Knew you would.
Because it's hard. It's really hard not to, because I know that stress shows up in 3 different ways. It could be physical, chemical, or emotional stresses.
Yes.
Right. And so those happen in many facets, right? Many facets those can happen. So I think it's a more so of a collective
Yes.
when we talk about that. And also I think it's more so of like this mindset, because we have like a new patient orientation class where I can easily probably call it like a paradigm shift class, because that's exactly what I am trying to do. It's like let me just give you this new paradigm and see if does that align, and like how can you integrate that into what you know, right? And so I do this with all my new patients because I want to be able to shift it, because it's more so of like if we can change the way we look at some of the things we look at change, right? We've heard that quote before. And so if we can change that, then we have phenomenal like changes, results, right? So for instance, just an example, when I ask my patients, hey, if you're experiencing fever, if you're experiencing cough, sneezing, would you say that you're sick? Most people would say, yeah, I'm sick, right? But if you ask me, I'm like, no, you're not sick. Your body's expressing health, right? So it's like just flipping it. Like the body's expressing health because if the body didn't create these symptoms, it's literally trying to heal itself, but it's doing that by creating the symptoms, right? But what do we do? We go like, okay, let me take this to suppress that symptom, to pretty much tell the body that, hey, like, watch out, like, I got this. No, the body's been doing this for way longer than we have, right? We don't know the ounce of what the body knows, the brain knows. Right?
It's so funny with what's happening right now with this heavy push for, I'm going to use code words.
Yeah.
And they're really pushing it so hard. I saw as of today or yesterday, they're now offering a joint if you get the yes.
Oh, yeah, I did see that.
I'm like, what's next, Raymond? Are they going to offer a hooker next? Like, they're literally all the stops at this point. You know, like,
Yeah.
think health comes in a shot, health comes in a pill. And what did hunter-gatherer people do? Did they have the jabby jab? Did they have, a miracle pill? No. They had sunshine, they had fresh air, they had grounding, they had all the modalities of health that they did. And guess what? They have this thing called an immune system that they took care of, and that took care of these things.
Yeah, that's true, and honestly, I feel like it's that simple. It's like more so of like, let's change the perspective, right, of how we see health, right, and like if we see health from this inside out thing, then the outside in wouldn't make sense to you.
Right.
It wouldn't make sense if I take this thing, it's going to make me healthy, because what's happening is, so when I say like patients, like if you have a headache, you take some Excedrin. Do you think your body's lacking Excedrin? That's the reason why you have a headache. I guess that's a fair question, and it
Yeah.
gets people to think. And it's like, you know what, my body's not like, because if it was lacking it, we would be born with Excedrin in our veins
Yeah.
to supply us. Right. Yeah.
There's Excedrin deficiency in the body. No.
No, it's not. And so it's really getting back to nature. I think that's what it comes down to. I think we have really removed ourselves from nature. If you guys ever had a chance to just be out in nature, just see nature, just
Yes.
be nature, like it's a beautiful thing because it's just happening. Like they're just doing exactly how they were programmed to do, making nests, feeding. Things are dying, things are getting recycled because something's eaten. Like it's a beautiful thing that's happening. I think we're just so far removed from that, and because we think we're better, we're high and mighty, but we're really not. We're a part of nature.
If you ever make it to Greenville, South Carolina, go to downtown Greenville. There's a thing called Reedy River, and there's this
Yeah,
nice waterfall park. Oh my gosh.
it's amazing.
Want to experience nature. It's a little more controlled than natural nature, but it's good. Go check it out
Yeah.
if you're down Greenville. Yes. Well, this whole idea of taking responsibility for your own health, I hope that if we've learned nothing else over this past year and a half, it's that all of this, like, most of the people that succumbed to this virus, they had 3+ comorbidities. Now, the comorbidities is because they trusted the mainstream medical system to make them healthier, and they didn't take control of their own health. So I'm hoping that if there's a bright light, happy ending to all the craziness that has been the last year and a half, that it's that people now realize, they find people like you and me, they're learning healthier modalities, and then they actually do it for once rather than just pay lip service of, I need to do something for my health someday, esoterically in the future. Right now.
Right now, like seriously, right now, because really the now is all it really that's all it really exists. The future doesn't, past doesn't, it's right now. And that's been like my take on this whole thing, is that taking responsibility for your health. I get pushback on that. I get scenarios, people give me things, whatever, because they don't want to accept that responsibility, right? But ultimately, it is our responsibility. It doesn't mean that you can't seek, you want to say, advice, right, from a doctor or guidance. It doesn't mean that you can't do that. It means that you have a responsibility. You can't put your health responsibility onto someone else for them to fix what you created, right? It just doesn't happen that way, right? And I think there was a quote, it was like pretty much, you can't medicate your way out of a problem that you behaved your way into, right? It's the same concept.
Yeah, the people get mad, Raymond, because they know you're convicting them. Seriously, it's like, it's true. Like, the reason they get mad is they know it's a truism, but they're not make that leap. Like you said earlier, they don't always want to do the things they know they need to do. It's not just knowledge, it's action behind that knowledge.
Yes, 100%. Yes. Yeah. And so, yeah, I definitely hope that we do get that piece out of it is like, okay, let me start taking that responsibility, because the way I look at health is like there's these three different tiers. Okay, so the bottom tier is the treatment of disease, which we do a lot of that, right? That's pretty much majority of what we do, probably 90% of what we do, right, in America. Then the next piece is prevention of disease, right? And then the next piece of that is promotion of health and wellness. And we don't see nearly enough of promotion of health and wellness. Like, that's why I've been highly disappointed about this entire piece, is like, where is the promotion of health and wellness?
From the very beginning, when this all went down in March last year, Jimmy, knowing, because I've talked to millions of people on my podcast over the
Yeah.
years, as a prophylactic, just naturally said, what could I take? I started taking high dose vitamin D. And of course, it was winter when that happened. And of course, one summer, I titrated down during the summer and got out in the sun and got it naturally that way. But I took pretty high dose. I've yet to get it. I've been out and about. I've never once worn a mask. It's just, it's amazing to me. And then I have chickens in the backyard, so I know being around their poop and grounding my ground, I get a little bit of kind of immunity that way. Like, I feel like you're right. We've been given, these are the dictates to be healthy, but there's all kinds of other things that we could have been doing, should have been doing. We could have saved many lives that way.
Yeah.
But it's just like what they've been doing. Somebody the other day said, "Oh, you're so skeptical." I'm like, look, we've been lied to about the dietary guidelines for Americans since 1980. I was in the 80s as a kid in school, Raymond, in the 80s. They made us memorize that stupid food pyramid.
Really?
Yeah. Oh, gosh. I'm just going, and now the kids have the My Plate, and I'm just like, it's indoctrination if you don't correct it.
Yeah. From the top, literally starting at an early age, because I remember that same chart, that same pyramid. I remember that, and I look back, I'm like, man, like, wow, this is so backwards. I mean, it's still backwards. And they had a glass of milk on there and not a glass of water. Like, it was like, man.
Although South Park did an episode, I don't know if you saw it, where they flipped it up. There's probably clips on YouTube if you want to go look it up. But look up YouTube dietary guidelines. And when the new guidelines came out, they said, "Oh no, we got them wrong. We've had them upside down all along."
Pretty much. I could definitely see that, flipping that.
Yeah. Yes. Well, dude, we could talk all day long, but you are such a delight. Guys, go check out Dr. Raymond Nichols over on Instagram. Is that your primary place for outlet?
Yeah. I pretty much use Instagram. I do have Facebook, but more so Instagram. I love this platform. I just love it. Yeah.
Between the stories and the lives and the posts and the reels now, it's so many ways to get the message out. Guys, go follow him on Instagram. Really inspiring is what you are. Uplifting, encouraging, and challenging. He's going to challenge some beliefs, and that's okay to be challenged on your beliefs. I think we all need to do that from time to time. Just keep ourselves honest about what we believe. We believe it. So thank you for doing that. And what's the name of your business in Greenville, South Carolina?
Align Life.
Align
Life. Yep. So it's also, we have a Instagram page too, Align Life of Pelham Falls. So that's where we're at here in Greenville. And then someone said, yes, I do have a Telegram too.
Awesome.
I do have a Telegram account. But yeah, that's where we're at.
Well, Raymond, thank you for being here today. You are truly one of the good people in the world. I'm glad we got to connect. I know I harangued you for a little bit. I'm like, dude,
no, you're good.
I promise you'll have a good time on my show. I'm a big fan.
No, again, I appreciate it. I appreciate you having me here. I appreciate the conversation. I love it. Love connecting. And again, I know we're like literally neighbors. So I would love to, I would love to connect with you in person. That would be amazing to do that and just really get to know each other a little bit better.
We will make that happen. I promise you.
Awesome.
I need to come to you as a patient just to see you in action. So it's a lot of fun.
Let's do it.
Well, guys, thank you so much for being here today, and we'll see you guys again soon.
All right, brother.